Welcome to Heart and Hustle, where love meets mindset. I'm Courtney Ryan, and I'm here to help you level up your heart, your hustle, and your life. Today, I want to talk about something that is so critical for every man who wants to truly connect with women, not just in dating, but in building meaningful, lasting relationships. We're going to get real, raw, and emotional about the 6 things men should never do with women. Because here's the truth, love is powerful, love is beautiful, but love can also be fragile. And the way you show up every single day has a ripple effect that can either lift her up or break her heart. Never disrespect her. These words may sound simple, but the weight behind them is enormous. Respect is not just about politeness or using the right words at the right time. Respect is about recognizing her value, her presence, and her humanity in every moment of interaction. Every woman deserves to be seen, truly seen for who she is, not just for what she brings to your life, not just for her beauty, her charm, or what she can do for you, but for her soul, her heart, and her individuality. When a man disrespects a woman, whether intentionally or unintentionally, he diminishes her, and in doing so, he diminishes the possibility of true connection, intimacy, and love. Disrespect comes in many forms. It can be a harsh word said in anger, a dismissive tone when she shares her feelings, or even subtle actions that communicate indifference. Sometimes, men may not even realize they are being disrespectful because they underestimate the emotional impact of their words and actions. A careless comment about her appearance, a joke that undermines her intelligence, or rolling your eyes when she expresses an opinion may seem minor to you, but to her, these moments accumulate and erode trust. They create walls, sometimes invisible, that prevent her from feeling safe, valued, and loved in your presence. Respect also means honoring her boundaries. Every woman has limits, physical, emotional, and mental, and it is a man's responsibility to recognize and honor those limits. Ignoring her boundaries, pressuring her into situations she is uncomfortable with, or disregarding her feelings sends a clear message that her comfort, her autonomy, and her choices do not matter. That is not love. That is control masquerading as affection. True love thrives when boundaries are respected. It flourishes when both people feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment or disregard. Respect is also shown in your consistency. It's easy to respect someone when it's convenient or when things are going well, but true respect shows itself in the challenging moments. When she is upset, when she is struggling, when she is vulnerable, your behavior in those moments speaks volumes. Disrespect in these moments can be subtle. Dismissing her emotions, speaking to her with frustration or impatience, or prioritizing your own ego over her feelings. Respect requires patience, empathy, and a willingness to meet her where she is emotionally. It is in these moments that the depth of your character is revealed, and it is in these moments that she measures whether she can trust you with her heart. Listening is a profound form of respect. When she speaks, listen not just to respond, but to understand. Don't interrupt, don't offer solutions immediately, and don't belittle her concerns. Every woman wants to feel heard and understood. When you take the time to listen with genuine attention, you communicate that her thoughts, her feelings, and her experiences are important. On the other hand, ignoring her words, brushing off her feelings, or speaking over her communicates a lack of care and a lack of respect. Respect is shown in the simple act of truly hearing her, of valuing her perspective, and of validating her experiences even when they differ from your own. Respect also involves celebrating her achievements, supporting her dreams, and encouraging her growth. A man who disrespects a woman often feels threatened by her success or dismisses her ambitions. This is a sign of insecurity and a lack of emotional maturity. When you celebrate her victories, no matter how small or large, and support her journey toward her goals, you demonstrate that you honor her as an equal partner, not as someone whose purpose is merely to serve your desires or boost your ego. True respect is empowering, not diminishing. It lifts her up instead of tearing her down. Finally, respect is rooted in integrity. It's the alignment between your words and actions. A man may claim to respect a woman, but if his behavior contradicts that claim, she will feel it immediately. Being truthful, reliable, and consistent in your actions communicates respect far more than empty words ever could. When a woman knows that you act with integrity, she feels safe, valued, and honored. She knows that your love is not conditional and that your commitment to respecting her is unwavering. Never manipulate or play games. This is one of the most destructive things a man can do in a relationship, and yet so many fall into it without even realizing the damage they are causing. Playing mind games or attempting to manipulate a woman's feelings is a betrayal of trust, a violation of her heart, and a barrier to real connection. Love is not a game, and a woman is not a prize to be won through strategy, deception, or emotional control. Every act of manipulation chips away at the foundation of intimacy, leaving behind doubt, hurt, and suspicion. When you manipulate, you are choosing your own comfort or ego over honesty, over authenticity, and over the sacredness of her heart. Manipulation comes in many forms. It can be subtle, like giving mixed signals or saying one thing and doing another. It can be emotional, like guilt tripping her to get your way or withholding affection as a form of punishment. It can be strategic, like testing her loyalty or pushing her boundaries to see how far she will bend. No matter the method, the effect is the same. It communicates that her feelings, her boundaries, and her sense of safety are secondary to your own desires. Manipulation is not clever, it is cruel even when disguised as love. A woman's intuition is powerful, and she will feel when something is off, even if she cannot articulate it immediately. When you manipulate, you are betraying not only her trust, but also your own potential to build a meaningful, authentic connection. Playing games is really harmful. This is when men confuse love with conquest or validation. They may think they are creating excitement or testing her interest, but in reality, they are creating confusion and insecurity. Women are not puzzles to solve or challenges to overcome. They are individuals with hearts, minds, and emotions that deserve to be treated with honesty and care. Games may provide a temporary thrill, a false sense of control, or a boost to the ego, but they never lead to deep, lasting intimacy. Over time, games erode the foundation of trust, leaving a woman questioning your intentions, your sincerity, and the reality of your feelings. A relationship built on games is a fragile one, and it cannot survive the weight of true emotional connection. Authenticity is the antidote to manipulation. Being honest about your intentions, your feelings, and your desires creates a space where a woman can feel safe to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is sacred, and it cannot flourish in an environment of deceit or control. When you speak truthfully, even when it is uncomfortable, you honor her intelligence and her emotional capacity. You show that you trust her with the real version of yourself, and in doing so, you invite her to do the same. This is how intimacy is built, layer by layer, moment by moment. Manipulation and games destroy this process. Authenticity nurtures it. Manipulation also undermines a woman's self-worth. When she feels like she is being tested, toyed with, or controlled, she begins to question her own value. She wonders if her love, her affection, or her loyalty is ever enough. This insecurity is not her fault, it is the natural response to being manipulated. A man who truly respects and loves a woman will never make her question her worth. He will not make her doubt herself to satisfy his ego or to gain temporary control. He will honor her heart, protect it, and allow it to grow in a safe, nurturing space. Emotional transparency is essential. If you are upset, share it. If you are confused, admit it. If you make a mistake, own it. Hiding behind manipulation or games is a way of avoiding accountability, but it creates a chasm between you and her that only grows wider over time. A woman wants a man who shows up fully with honesty and integrity, someone who is willing to face his own flaws and work through them without pulling her into a web of deceit. Real love thrives on clarity, not confusion, on presence, not pretense, on truth, not trickery. Respect her time and her emotional energy. Manipulation often comes from a place of selfishness, prioritizing your own desires over her well-being. When you engage in games, you are wasting her energy, her patience, and her love. Women have hearts that are capable of immense depth, and they give generously to those who deserve it. Do not squander that generosity by being deceptive, controlling, or emotionally unavailable. Every act of manipulation erodes trust, diminishes love, and leaves wounds that are slow to heal. A woman deserves a man who is straightforward, consistent, and emotionally mature. She deserves a partner who communicates clearly, honors her boundaries, and allows her to express herself without fear of retaliation or confusion. When you remove manipulation and games from your relationship, you create a safe space for love to grow, for intimacy to deepen, and for trust to solidify. Love is not about control, it is about connection, understanding, and mutual growth. When a man embraces authenticity over manipulation, honesty over games, and vulnerability over ego, he becomes capable of a love that is rare, transformative, and profoundly fulfilling. Never take her for granted. This is one of the quietest yet most destructive mistakes a man can make in a relationship. It doesn't always come in the form of dramatic arguments or obvious neglect. Often, it shows up subtly, in the way small gestures go unnoticed, compliments are withheld, or her efforts are assumed rather than acknowledged. Taking a woman for granted sends a message that her presence, her love, her energy, and her dedication are not valued. It communicates that she is replaceable, that her sacrifices are invisible, and that her heart is not worth protecting. Every woman wants to feel seen and appreciated, and when she doesn't, resentment quietly begins to grow. Taking her for granted can manifest in many ways. It might be failing to notice when she puts in extra effort to make the relationship or your life easier. It might be ignoring her needs, her desires, or her emotions. It could be as simple as not saying thank you, not expressing gratitude, or assuming she will always be there no matter what you do. Women notice these things, even if they don't voice them immediately. Over time, the accumulation of small dismissive actions chips away at trust, intimacy, and emotional connection. What seems like normal routine to a man can feel like indifference to a woman, and the damage grows in silence until it feels insurmountable. Respecting and appreciating a woman requires mindfulness. It requires seeing the ways she contributes to your life, both large and small, and recognizing the effort, care, and energy she invests in the relationship. Appreciation is not optional. It is essential. Every woman wants to feel like her presence matters, that her love makes a difference, and that her sacrifices are noticed and valued. When a man consistently acknowledges her contributions, expresses gratitude, and celebrates her, he reinforces her sense of worth and strengthens the bond between them. Taking her for granted does the opposite. It erodes her trust and diminishes the intimacy that could have been nurtured over time. Emotional validation is part of this process. When a woman shares her thoughts, feelings, or concerns, she is offering a piece of herself. Dismissing these moments, assuming they are unimportant, or failing to respond with empathy communicates that her inner world does not matter. Appreciation is not only about acknowledging actions, but also about recognizing her emotional depth, her dreams, her struggles, and her triumphs. A man who fails to honor this part of her is taking her for granted in the most profound way possible, by devaluing the essence of who she is. Taking her for granted also involves overlooking her ambitions and dreams. Women want partners who champion them, who celebrate their successes, and who encourage them to pursue their goals. A man who assumes her support is automatic, who dismisses her aspirations, or who doesn't actively cheer her on is failing to recognize her full humanity. Support is not passive. It requires engagement, effort, and enthusiasm. When a man invests in her growth, he demonstrates that he values her not just as a partner in the relationship, but as an individual with her own identity, purpose, and potential. Small gestures make a big difference. Simple words, "thank you," "I appreciate you," or "I see what you're doing," communicate care and recognition. Acts of attentiveness, noticing when she's tired, acknowledging when she's stressed, celebrating her victories, all build a sense of being valued. Women are deeply intuitive, and they can sense when appreciation is genuine versus when it is perfunctory or absent. When gratitude is missing, a woman may begin to feel invisible, and the love she gives so freely can start to feel unreciprocated. Being present is another vital element. Taking her for granted often comes from distraction, focusing on work, hobbies, social media, or other interests at the expense of the relationship. Women crave attention, presence, and emotional availability. When a man shows up physically but is absent emotionally, it communicates that she is not a priority. Respecting her time, valuing her presence, and intentionally engaging with her reinforces her sense of significance and strengthens the emotional connection between you. Never forget that love is a living thing. It thrives on recognition, appreciation, and reciprocity. Neglecting the simple act of valuing a woman can allow resentment to build silently, and once it becomes ingrained, it becomes difficult to restore. A woman who feels taken for granted begins to question her place in your life, her importance to you, and even her own worth. Appreciation is not just a nicety. It is the heartbeat of a thriving relationship. When a man chooses to recognize her, to honor her, and to celebrate her presence consistently, he creates a space where love grows, intimacy deepens, and connection strengthens. Never lie or hide the truth. Honesty is the foundation of any meaningful relationship, and without it, love cannot thrive. Lies, even the small ones that seem harmless, create cracks in trust that can widen over time, leaving emotional scars that are difficult to heal. A woman's heart is not a playground for deception, and every act of dishonesty communicates that her feelings, her trust, and her security are secondary to your own convenience or comfort. When a man hides the truth, he undermines the bond he shares with her and risks replacing love with suspicion, intimacy with doubt, and connection with distance. Lying can take many forms. It can be direct, such as hiding actions or feelings, or indirect, like leaving out important details or misleading her through omission. Even small lies told repeatedly erode trust gradually. A woman may initially give a man the benefit of the doubt, but over time, inconsistencies are noticed, questions arise, and doubt creeps in. She begins to wonder what she doesn't know, and that uncertainty creates emotional distance. The heart longs for transparency, for clarity, for reassurance that the person she loves is fully present, fully honest, and fully committed. Hiding the truth denies her that emotional safety, and it weakens the connection she shares with you. The temptation to lie often comes from fear of conflict, fear of judgment, fear of losing her affection. But the reality is that honesty is always the stronger choice. A difficult truth, spoken with care and respect, is far better than a comfortable lie that eventually comes to light. Women value integrity more than perfection. They respect vulnerability over pretense. When a man is willing to admit mistakes, share his insecurities, or communicate difficult emotions openly, he demonstrates strength, courage, and maturity. Hiding the truth, on the other hand, communicates weakness, avoidance, and a lack of respect for her right to know and understand the reality of the relationship. Honesty is also about alignment between words and actions. A man may say he loves her, but if his behavior contradicts those words, she will feel the discrepancy immediately. Words without truth are empty, promises without follow-through are meaningless. When she senses that what you say does not match what you do, trust erodes and her sense of safety in the relationship diminishes. To build lasting love, a man must ensure that his actions consistently reflect his words. This alignment creates a solid foundation upon which intimacy, trust, and connection can flourish. Hiding the truth is particularly damaging when it comes to feelings and intentions. Women want to know where they stand, what a man truly feels, and what he envisions for the future. Ambiguity and secrecy create insecurity, anxiety, and emotional tension. When a man withholds his feelings or intentions, she is left guessing, analyzing, and questioning, which can create unnecessary stress and strain. Honesty allows for clarity, understanding, and alignment, fostering a partnership in which both people can move forward together with confidence and trust. Transparency also strengthens emotional intimacy. Sharing fears, insecurities, mistakes, and vulnerabilities invites a woman to do the same. It deepens the bond and creates a space where both partners feel safe to be authentic. Hiding the truth, conversely, isolates each person within their own fears and doubts, preventing true intimacy from forming. Women want a partner who will show up fully without masks or games, someone who values the sanctity of her heart and treats it with the respect it deserves. Trust, once broken, is difficult to rebuild. Lies have a long shadow, and even if an apology is offered, the lingering doubt often remains. A woman who has been deceived may struggle to feel fully safe, fully connected, and fully confident in the relationship again. Honesty prevents these wounds from forming in the first place. It is an investment in emotional security, a commitment to transparency, and a demonstration of respect for her autonomy and intelligence. Never underestimate the power of truth in sustaining love. It is the glue that holds a relationship together, the bridge that connects two hearts, and the anchor that provides stability when life becomes unpredictable. Women are intuitive and perceptive. They can sense when a man is hiding something or withholding honesty. Each omission, each lie, each hidden detail chips away at the trust they place in him, and once trust is eroded, intimacy suffers. A man who consistently chooses honesty communicates that her heart is safe, that her feelings are honored, and that their love is real, authentic, and worth protecting. Never dismiss her emotions. This is one of the most damaging things a man can do in a relationship because emotions are not trivial or inconvenient, they are the language of the heart. A woman's feelings are real, valid, and deeply connected to her sense of self. When a man dismisses her emotions, whether by telling her she's overreacting, too sensitive, or crazy, he is invalidating a part of her very being. This is not just a minor misstep, it is a breach of trust, a diminishment of her sense of safety, and a roadblock to intimacy. Women want to be heard, understood, and validated, and when their feelings are dismissed, it communicates that their inner world does not matter. Dismissing emotions can take many forms. It might be interrupting her when she is expressing herself, laughing at her concerns, or offering quick solutions instead of taking the time to listen. It might be minimizing her experiences, telling her to get over it, or implying that her feelings are irrational. Even subtle forms of dismissal accumulate over time, leaving her feeling unseen, unheard, and emotionally isolated. A woman who feels consistently dismissed begins to question not only her worth but also the strength of the connection she shares with her partner. Emotional safety is fragile, and dismissiveness erodes it slowly, leaving behind frustration, resentment, and distance. Listening with intention is the key to honoring her emotions. When she speaks, the goal is not to argue, fix, or prove a point. The goal is to understand. Every word she shares, every tear, every frustration, and every joy is an invitation to connect on a deeper level. To respond with patience, empathy, and genuine curiosity is to show that her heart matters to you. This does not mean you must always agree with her perspective, but it does mean that you respect her right to feel what she feels and that you honor her experience without judgment or condescension. Validation is powerful. It is the acknowledgement that her emotions are legitimate and worthy of attention. Saying things like, "I understand why you feel that way," or "It makes sense that you're upset," communicates empathy and care. Validation does not require you to solve her problems or fix her feelings. It simply requires you to recognize them as real, important, and deserving of attention. Women crave this recognition because it reinforces the idea that they are valued, that their hearts are safe, and that their experiences are honored. Dismissing emotions often comes from discomfort. Men may feel unequipped to handle intense feelings or unsure of how to respond. They may fear vulnerability themselves or struggle with expressing empathy. But avoiding or minimizing her emotions does not make them go away. It pushes her further from you. Emotional intimacy requires courage. It requires a willingness to lean into discomfort, to witness another person's vulnerability, and to respond with love, patience, and compassion. A man who can sit with her emotions without judgment, who can listen without interruption, and who can hold space for her feelings demonstrates strength, maturity, and emotional intelligence. The cost of dismissing her emotions is profound. When her feelings are ignored, she may stop sharing them altogether, retreating into herself and creating walls that prevent true connection. Emotional withdrawal is often mistaken for indifference, but in reality, it is a protective response to feeling unsafe or unseen. When a man dismisses her heart, he risks losing not only the closeness they once shared, but also the trust and openness that are essential for a thriving, intimate relationship. Acknowledging her emotions is also about consistency. It is not enough to validate her feelings occasionally or only when it is convenient. Emotional support must be ongoing, reliable, and genuine. Women notice patterns of behavior, and they can sense when care is selective or conditional. Showing up for her emotionally every day, even in the small moments, reinforces the message that her heart is safe with you and that her feelings are always taken seriously. Never underestimate the power of empathy. Empathy bridges the gap between two hearts, creates understanding where there might have been conflict, and nurtures intimacy where there might have been distance. Dismissing her emotions breaks that bridge, leaving her feeling isolated and questioning the authenticity of your love. A man who prioritizes empathy, who honors her emotional reality, and who responds with patience and care cultivates trust, intimacy, and a deeper, more meaningful connection. Emotional validation is not optional, it is essential. It is the lifeblood of love, the glue that keeps hearts aligned, and the cornerstone of a relationship where both partners feel safe, seen, and cherished. Never abandon her when things get tough. Life is full of challenges, storms, and moments of uncertainty, and a relationship is tested not when everything is easy, but when difficulties arise. A woman wants a partner who will stand beside her, who will hold her hand through the pain, and who will remain steadfast when circumstances feel overwhelming. Walking away, shutting down, or emotionally checking out during hard times communicates that your love is conditional, that it only exists when life is convenient or comfortable. This kind of abandonment is more than physical absence. It is a profound emotional injury that can leave scars long after the immediate conflict has passed. Abandonment can take subtle forms as well as obvious ones. It might be withdrawing affection when she expresses her fears, becoming distant during conflicts, or refusing to engage emotionally when she needs your support. It could be prioritizing work, friends, or distractions over being present for her during critical moments. These actions send a clear message: her struggles, her pain, and her heart are secondary to your comfort or convenience. Women are intuitive, and they feel when a man is emotionally absent even if he is physically present. This disconnect can create a deep sense of loneliness, even in the midst of a relationship. Being present during difficult times requires courage, patience, and emotional maturity. It means listening without judgment, supporting without trying to control, and loving without condition. When she is hurting, she doesn't always need solutions or answers. Often, she needs a safe space to express her fears, frustrations, and insecurities. Showing up consistently and reliably communicates that her heart is valued, that she can trust you, and that your commitment to the relationship is unwavering. A man who abandons her during hard times betrays not only her trust, but also the potential for deep intimacy and emotional connection. Challenges in life are inevitable. Financial stress, family conflicts, personal insecurities, health issues, and unexpected crises will all arise. How a man responds during these moments defines the quality of the relationship. A partner who steps away or shuts down communicates that the relationship is fragile, dependent on convenience rather than genuine commitment. In contrast, a man who remains engaged, patient, and supportive demonstrates strength, resilience, and true love. Women remember who stayed and who walked away when it mattered most. These moments are not just tests. They are opportunities to build unshakable trust, deepen connection, and prove that love is real, even when life feels chaotic. Abandonment can also take the form of emotional unavailability over time. When a man consistently avoids addressing difficult topics, refuses to communicate openly about challenges, or shuts down when emotions run high, he slowly erodes the foundation of the relationship. A woman may feel like she is carrying the weight alone, navigating hardships without a true partner by her side. Over time, this lack of support can lead to frustration, resentment, and emotional withdrawal. A relationship where one person feels unsupported is unlikely to thrive no matter how much love exists initially. Being present also means being willing to work through conflict instead of avoiding it. Disagreements, arguments, and misunderstandings are inevitable in any relationship. Walking away, giving the silent treatment, or refusing to engage does not solve the problem and intensifies it. A woman needs a partner who is willing to lean in, to communicate honestly, and to work through challenges with respect and care. This does not mean you will always agree or that conflicts are easy, but it does mean you demonstrate commitment by facing difficulties together instead of running from them. Consistency is key. Showing up in the easy moments is expected. Showing up in the hard moments is what makes a man extraordinary. Women notice patterns of behavior over time, and they can distinguish between superficial presence and genuine, unwavering support. Remaining by her side, offering reassurance, and prioritizing her emotional safety, especially during turbulence, builds trust, intimacy, and a deep sense of security that cannot be manufactured through words alone. Abandonment during tough times also communicates a lack of respect for her resilience and capacity to face challenges alongside you. Women want to feel like their strength is acknowledged and that they are not navigating life's storms alone. Standing with her, offering support, and demonstrating reliability reinforces her sense of worth, her confidence in the relationship, and her trust in your love. True love is measured in these moments of trial, and the way a man responds defines the emotional landscape of the relationship. Being absent when it matters most leaves a void that is difficult to fill and can permanently alter the trajectory of the connection. A man who never abandons his partner demonstrates integrity, emotional intelligence, and genuine commitment. He proves that love is not conditional, that it is resilient, and that it can withstand the inevitable challenges life throws at both of them. Showing up even when it is hard, even when it is uncomfortable, and even when it requires sacrifice, communicates a depth of love that words alone cannot convey. Women remember and honor the men who remain steadfast, who face the storms together, and who prioritize the relationship even when it is difficult, because these actions define the difference between fleeting love and a bond that lasts a lifetime.